Hello and welcome to our Easter series. My name is Bronson Aalgaard and I oversee all of student ministries here at Heights Church. And I got a question for you. Have you ever been on the beach on a nice sunny day? I know just by saying that, most of us are already putting ourselves there because we're ready for a vacation. But I don't know about you, but beautiful sunny days on the beach with a light breeze and the sound of all the birds and the waves, there is nothing like it. It's probably one of my 5 favorite feelings here on earth. But we all know what it's like to leave that beach. After we get over the moment, the fact that we're leaving, but we get to the car, we get off of that nice warm sand, and something just doesn't feel right. And you look down to realize you got all sorts of sand in between your toes. And now you're questioning, was this all really worth it? I'm just kidding. It's of course worth it. But it's uncomfortable with our feet and all the sand and the little pieces. You guys know what I'm talking about. Today we're going to be looking into a passage where it talks specifically about washing the feet, and I'm going to show you how this all connects into this passage. We're going to be in John 13, so would you join me there? We're going to start in verse 1, and here's what it says. Before the Passover celebration, Jesus knew that his hour had come to leave this world and return to his Father. He had loved his disciples during his ministry on earth, and now he loved them to the very end. It was a time for supper, and the devil had already prompted Judas to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had given him authority over everything and that he had come from God and would return to God. So he got up from the table, took off his robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and poured water into a basin. Then he began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel he had around him. When Jesus came to Peter, Peter said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" And Jesus replied, "You don't understand now what I am doing, but someday you will." In verse 8 it says, "No," Peter protested, "you will never, ever wash my feet." And Jesus replied, "Unless I wash you, you won't belong to me." And Peter exclaimed, "Then wash my hands and head as well, Lord, not just my feet." Jesus replied, "A person who is bathed all over does not need to wash, except for the feet, to be entirely clean. And you disciples are clean, but not all of you." For Jesus knew who would betray him. That is what he meant when he said, "Not all of you are clean." After washing their feet, he put on his robe again and sat down and asked, "Do you understand what I was doing? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, because that's what I am. And since I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash each other's feet. I have given you an example to follow. Do as I have done to you. I tell you the truth. Slaves are not greater than their master, nor is a messenger more important than the one who sends the message. Now that you know these things, God will bless you for doing them." I'm not just saying these things to all of you. I know the ones I have chosen, but this fulfills what the scripture says. "The one who eats my food has turned against me. I tell you this beforehand, so that when it happens, you will believe that I am the Messiah. I tell you the truth. Anyone who welcomes my messenger is welcoming me, and anyone who welcomes me is welcoming the Father who sent me." This is a lot of scripture, and it covers so many things that are so important, but I want to point out just one thing for you today as we're in this Easter devotional series, and that's this. In verse 10 it says, Jesus replied, "A person who has bathed all over does not need to wash again, except for the feet, to be entirely clean." I want to stop for a moment and recognize this. Jesus is speaking directly as if you are saved. If you are following Jesus, he calls us to wash our feet. And that comes to, once we're saved, we don't have to get resaved and resaved and resaved over and over again if we have fallen away from God or committed a sin. No, God calls us simply just to wash our feet, that we are his. Now I want to compare this or talk about what this means with like sandy feet and why did I even tell that? Because in a clear example, if you want to go into the city, all you have to do is wash your feet off and you're walking around this beach town again having a great time. And that is the exact same thing we see here in Scripture. God literally tells us we don't need to bathe our full body again, yet merely wash his feet. I think about moments like communion where we bring what we have done to God and ask for forgiveness, ask for us to be refreshed in the Spirit. That's what God is calling us here. That's what God is what Jesus is telling his disciples, to wash your feet. I hope this has been as good for you as it has for me, and I'll see you next time.